Hi, okay, so this is part two of a tutorial I just did. The first one looked at camera stabilization. So hopefully now what you should have is a piece of footage that is moving around, as you can see, around the frame. Okay, but what it's doing is giving us some stable camera work. So this is handheld camera work that's been stabilized. In fact, if we have a look at that, you'll see there's tracker 1 still on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in another tracker. So what I've done is I've created a Photoshop file, okay, that I've brought in as footage. You can see it's just a bit of text with like a line and a circle sort of attached to it. Okay, and that's kind of going to be a pointer that follows this student around. What I did is actually put it in its own comp, the Photoshop file, and just kind of created something like that just to give it a bit more, give it a bit of animation really, rather than just being a static thing. Okay, so I just created that myself, but you'll find you'll have access to the Photoshop file. If you want to animate it a bit, you're welcome to do so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that layer and drop, well, that comp, drop it on as a layer above there, and you'll notice that's great. It's animating, but obviously it's not moving. It's sitting in one specific place. So we're going to track the student's movement now. Okay, so that it follows him around. So in order to do that, we're going to use the track motion again. And again, you'll see at the moment it's not highlighted because I haven't selected the video layer. What I would say is important here though, if you're tracking motion, in order to apply that motion to something else, you've got to make sure you've added that layer in already. Okay, so in other words, I'm going to, like I said, track this video and apply it to the student text that I've created here. So like I said, that student text needs to be in this comp to start with. So select layer. So what's also interesting or good to know there, I guess, is you can have multiple trackers. So the first tracker was used to stabilize a video. The next one is going to be used to track a particular student moving. But I could track another student moving somewhere else, maybe in the distance, or something else that's moving. So you can have as many trackers as you like in a video. So I'm going to go to animation, track motion again. And again, you'll notice straight away it jumps to layer view. So we lose the Photoshop file. We can't see it anymore because we're looking at just the layer now. And again, like that's to clean up the video, so we're seeing the video and we're working on that only. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all the tracker points this time because I already did that in the previous video where I looked at stabilization. So you know, make sure you start with that one really. Okay, so we've got our track point again. So this video hopefully should be a bit shorter actually. I'm going to move that track point around because obviously I want to track the student. And what we also looked at is the type of information that's used to track, and that was luminance. So that means that if I say track maybe the back here or something like that, it's not going to do very well. Yeah, sure, it's very dark. So you can say in regards to luminance information, there might be some strong information there. It's all dark. Problem is for the tracker, there's no nothing to sort of differentiate one pixel from another. There's very little information there to allow it to see where that object is moving. Really what you want is white on black or black on white. You want something very different inside the trackers. That's what you need. So that itself won't work. So even if I did say perhaps a hat, again the problem is here it's all dark, so it's not going to track very well. And again, you're welcome to try it. Okay, in fact, the thing is, I guess because I know or sort of have an idea of what I want to track, I always pick something that works. But actually it might be useful just to see what happens when something doesn't work. So I'm just trying to find, zoom in a little bit so you can see that better actually. Let's just zoom in like that. So let's say my play is at the very beginning, so let's say that is actually what I wanted to track. So I'm there. So remember, we can analyze forward. So like I said, this won't work, I'm pretty sure, but let's find out. Track. Oh, actually it's following him quite well. Oh, and there you go, and it's lost it. Yep. So at some point it was actually doing quite well at the start. Unfortunately, it lost it somewhere. Now, actually, like I said, so I wanted to show you that to show you what happens when it goes wrong. But if it tracks up to this point, where is it? And then we kind of lose it at some point. There we go, and you can see it kind of. And I guess actually you can kind of understand it's sort of jumping down from there. And I don't know if that's because the trees are quite dark, so it kind of thinks, oh, you know, the trees are where it's supposed to be tracking. What you could also do is you can move frame by frame and find the point where it lost the track, and then readjust the track and continue analyzing from there. So you can analyze forward from that point rather than right from the beginning as well. But like I said, I had a feeling that wouldn't work anyway. So, and if you do find it doesn't, that's okay. Just reset it. Okay, and it just goes back to the starting point. Okay, and you can try again. And So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to slightly adjust the pattern box and the search area. So what I'm going to do is first let's make the search area bigger. Because what I'm going to do is, remember, the pattern box looks at a specific set of patterns within it. So why not set it to maybe, rather than just being the hat, to be sort of the hat, and it's got a bit of the outside space. So imagine the hat doesn't change shape much, hopefully, as he walks around. So now it's going to look for that shape and obviously surrounding pixels, so hopefully that should work a bit better. I can make the search area box bigger if I like, just in case it moves up and down a bit more. Keep in mind, I've found usually, obviously, the bigger you make that, the slower it can sort of track. But we'll go fit, and we'll try that this time. In fact, I'll zoom in again, like I said, because I want to get a better view. Okay, and we'll analyze forward. Okay, and that worked. And like I said, hopefully that should be quite clear why. Because like I said, there was a nice variance between luminance. So like I said, the hat's quite dark, but the background's a lot lighter than that. And also, like I said, we had a specific pattern or a shape that it was able to follow, which made it a lot easier. Okay, but there we go. We've got our track done, so that's great. By default, you have, you'll see the motion target, sorry, is set to student text already. Because what it'll do, like I said, by default, it will automatically assume you want to apply the tracking motion to the layer above it. So that's usually always set up as a target straight away. That doesn't have to be the case, and you might be like, no, actually, you might have 5 layers here, and you want to apply that tracking information to a layer, you know, the third layer up or something like that. You can click the edit target and select the layer that you want to apply your motion to. Obviously, you'll see here I haven't got any other layers, so it's going to apply to student text, so that's fine. So as long as you're happy with that, you can then just click apply. Okay, and again, like we had last time, it asks which dimensions we want to apply to, and we're going to keep it at X and Y, so you can see it was moving up and down, left and right. Click OK. All right, there we go, and that's popped up there now, and that is tracking. So if I actually move that around, okay, you'll see it's following him. Hopefully you can see that it's kind of actually looks like it's sort of attached to him. However, while it is mimicking his movement, it's not sitting where I want it to. And why is that? Well, actually, don't know if we can see it with this layer. Let's have a look, close that up. If we click that, yeah, I don't think it's bringing it up, but it's actually got to do with the anchor point of this layer. The anchor point ends up sitting at the exact anchor point I put my tracking marker box. So like I said, the anchor point for this is not there, it's here somewhere for the student layer, and that's why, as far as it's concerned, it's mapped it up perfectly. So that's not really what we wanted, so we're going to have a look at just quickly moving that. But let's have a quick look at what's actually happened to student text. If I select the position property, okay, you'll notice that it's got keyframes on every frame. So all it's really done is keyframe the animation of this student layer. That's basically all the software's done. It's tracked the movement of the hat and used that to create position movement. So like I said, again, even though it's an automatic thing in the software, it's really something you could do yourself. It'd just be quite repetitive process of following the hat every single frame, and then just copying that movement there. So that does cause us one problem, because it means that if I move this here, all I end up doing is moving it in that one frame. As you can see, next frame, it'll just jump back again. So I'm going to undo that movement. So we don't want to just start moving it around like that, because we'll just end up changing that one keyframe. Instead, when you're on it, just click the word position, and you'll see it highlights all the keyframes. And when you highlight all the keyframes, as long as you're over a keyframe itself, specifically when you move it, notice all the keyframes move together. Yeah, so I'll put that on top of his head, which is actually where I wanted it, and notice they're all moving together. So it continues moving these as it was doing before, however, from this position now. And you'll see now it's sort of holding that point and following his head. Okay, there we go. And that's actually what I wanted. There we go. So that tracks along quite nicely now. In fact, let's do a quick RAM preview just to see what that looks like. Okay. All right, so it's okay, and that seems to be working quite well. Right. So yeah, that's now motion tracking and then applied to a specific layer. Okay, and that's generally the kind of things a lot of people want to track for. So you want to track something that moves in the frame and then apply that on. Again, give that a go, and like I said, don't worry too much if the track doesn't hold, because if it doesn't, just just reset it and try again. Okay.